Welcome to the new IT. Here we are again in the new IT studios. Brad, what's going on today? What are we doing? Who are we talking to? What craziness is happening today in our space?
Well, there's always craziness going on, but yeah, today I think it's actually going to be a good show. So we've got Nick from JobNimbus here to kind of give us a little bit of info about all the amazing things they're doing and all the cool things that they're doing, and we get to learn what it is they look for when they hire.
I love it. Let's just get to know you, Nick, for a second. Let's just tell us a little bit about you. How'd you get in with JobNimbus and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I got into JobNimbus in a kind of a passive way, actually. My boss is the VP of PX. His name's Jared Olson. If you know him, you know he's amazing. But I had previously bounced some ideas off of him on LinkedIn and seen some of his posts and chimed in and, selfishly kind of wanted him as a mentor. And he reached out to me one day and he's like, hey, I think we're going to have a need, for somebody with your skill set, a tech recruiter that's also done some corporate recruiting. But it probably won't be for a couple months. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm glad you thought of me. And he's like, cool. How about coming in about a month at 2 p.m.? It was like, this was July, and he said to come in like August 17th or something. I was like, okay, sure. I wasn't really looking for a job, so it didn't matter that it was a month away. So I came into JobNimbus. He gave me a tour of the office space that we have there and introduced me to a few people and just kind of explained, the values and the mission and what the product was, what it was all about. And we talked for a few minutes about, what I'd like to do with my career, and pretty standard stuff I think you would hear talked about in a kind of a light, casual interview scenario, and went on my merry way. Thanked him for his time, and we stayed in touch. And about 6 months later, he called me and he was like, hey, I've got that opening now. So I want you to come in and interview with our VP of engineering. So I went in and, you never quite know what to expect when you're going to interview with a VP of engineering and you're calling yourself a technical recruiter. I was like, okay, right. Well, am I going to get grilled real hard? Like, do you expect me to know JavaScript? Because I don't. I can spell it. But I had a great conversation with him. His name's Jeff Van Shar. He's an amazing guy, super intelligent, just you won't find a better human. So I had a great conversation with him, and then Jared called me a few hours later and was like, okay, cool. So this could be your start date. This is the offer. What do you think? And I was like, well, okay, let's do it. Let's jump in. So that was how I ended up at JobNimbus.
So what you're saying is most offers, like when you get an offer from JobNimbus, is going to be kind of like that?
You know what? I actually have this on one of our talking points, but that proactive recruiting approach is something that we're hitting pretty hard, and we can definitely talk about that, a little bit more once we get there. But it's not an atypical experience for our candidates. I mean, sure, there's plenty that I source the old-fashioned way, so to speak, on LinkedIn or referrals, Indeed, whatever, the job may call for. But a lot of what we're doing is proactive recruiting. So
I love it. It sounds kind of like, you're getting to know the folks, actually diving in and kind of, I think we've missed that over the years, that actually get to know somebody before you hire them. I think take them to lunch, do stuff, actually have everybody you want to make, and that's an important gig. I mean, there's nothing more important than the hiring of somebody, and if you take your time and really connect and make sure they're a part of the culture, that they fit, and that they're going to be a big asset. I mean, it's weird to me that so many companies don't take the time to figure that out, because it's so intricate.
You're 100. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just I don't want to put the cart before the horse, because I know we're going to talk about this stuff later on, but you're sparking a lot of really cool things in my mind.
Hey, we're not following no rules. You can go wherever you want, man.
Rules? Who needs rules?
Let's play in the gray area then. Let's do it. So, you're right, though. We're coming out of this environment where everybody was isolated, and whether that was with your family or by yourself, or in my case with your dog, everybody was separated from that human connection in a very large degree, right? And one of the things, I mean, just an example, it happened today, just 4 or 5 hours ago. If we know that we have a person, even if I don't have a job for them, but we know they're a cool person, they've got a skill set we might be able to use, or they could be a good fit there, they can come to our weekly all hands meeting. It's only 30 minutes long. CEO gives a very transparent and amazing presentation about the state of the company. And afterwards, they have lunch with us. It's on the company, obviously. And then we'll introduce them to, not only people they would potentially work with, but just anybody that might happen to be there.
Wait a minute.
Today, they can see it. They can taste it. They can be a part of the culture. We played Secret Hitler for 30 minutes.
Are you saying?
And then we went and talked to the VP of engineering.
I love it.
You're saying that anybody that's interested in getting a job can go do that?
100%.
Wow.
And if I can't get them a job, it's in my job description to find them a job.
Wow.
I love it. So I know we've kind of...
Even if it's not a JobNimbus.
I mean, I know some listeners may know, but we've already had JobNimbus on. But just as a refresher, why don't you tell us a little bit about JobNimbus? Tell us what it is you guys do, what's your product, and then we can kind of
the tech.
Yeah, go from there.
Yeah, we like to know the tech.
Yeah.
We are geeks. I mean, let's face it.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I think we all are. We have to be to one extent or another.
Right, you have to.
Company, whether they want to admit it or not, is a software company.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Right?
Definitely going to touch it. Definitely going to touch it.
Yep.
So so JobNimbus it's a pretty unique thing. We are a CRM. JobNimbus creates, sells, maintains services. It's all in-house. It's a CRM that is built for and sold to contractors in the construction sector. So more specifically, about 60% of our customers are roofers, and about 40% make up other home exterior type businesses. So fencing, concrete, pools, windows, brick, stucco, anything you can think of that may happen to the outside of your home. Those are the companies where we've really found that we're sticky with. And what's cool is if you think about, any friends that that may be contractors, or any time that you've worked with a contractor, they've probably not been your early adopters of technology. And a lot of them
that was
are
a nice
doing
way
a
to
lot
put
on
right, to say the least.
At the very most, they're using Excel or QuickBooks, right? And a lot of them are doing their jobs on pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
And we've found that, CRMs are a saturated market, obviously, but not in the construction sector. We're not competing with Salesforce for these customers, right? Like, we're competing with companies that, quite frankly, aren't keeping up with what we're doing. And that doesn't mean that they're bad companies, but we're definitely the leaders in our industry. And it's really cool to see a couple of things. One of them that's my favorite is the customer testimonials, because they'll talk about how they've been able to, implement efficiencies in their business that didn't exist before. They'll talk about the free time they get back in their personal lives. The last survey we sent out, or the last one I was told about, at least, being a recruiter, I don't see all of that stuff, but it said that the average customer got back 8 hours of their life. Wow. And I don't know about you, but per week. So if somebody gave me 8 hours back in a week, you would find me in a river, on a lake, or out in the middle of nowhere, or whatever, right? But it's cool because you hear the customers talking about, well, now I was able to go to my son's baseball game. We were able to go on a vacation, and I didn't be glued to my phone the whole time because I was worried about losing a job. So our mission is to make contractors heroes. And it's not just to make them heroes to their employees or to help make them money, and that's part of it, but it's to make them heroes to their family as well. And the other statistic that caught my attention and really stuck in my head is the average user of JobNimbus increases their company's revenue by 42% in the first 12 months that they use our product. And if you think about how much a roof or an RV pad or a fence costs, that's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
So that's a little bit about us. That's what we do. It's the knuckle dragging recruiter's point of view, at least, of what the company does.
I love it. And the thing that I found most fascinating that you didn't talk about is the integrations you have with your partners. So not only can your contractors or your people you're trying to have use the CRM system, they have the abilities to, let's say somebody's getting a new roof. They have the ability to order everything all online through the app, and have it be sent in real time to the client and give them updates. That's huge.
Yep. It's massive, and there's automations that you can set up. Our software is so customizable that it's incredible. I mean, it truly, you can be the owner of the company, have 10 contractors that work for you, and you can get an email notification or text notification coming soon that can go to you, can go to the customer when materials are ordered, when an invoice is made, when a new lead is created, if you've got salespeople out canvassing neighborhoods. And it really just helps. It keeps things from falling through the cracks. And, I think about my dad, who had spent his career, in the construction industry. And it's like, man, the things that you could have done with this product, and especially with it being as affordable as it is, it's just a no-brainer for our customers.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like it's a game changer.
Yeah. So who takes care of this stuff? How does the back end look for now that we've kind of looked at the front end? Can we talk maybe a little bit about the back end? What kind of tech stack do you have as far as people take care of it? That kind of stuff. What does that look like? We're just, we want to get under the hood a little.
Yeah, let's do it. And so we've been around for 9 years. So there's some tech debt and there's some legacy code and things like that, right? But right now, one of our big focuses within engineering is breaking out into microservices from a monolith, right? And we're doing that primarily using C#. So we're converting a lot from Node to C# on that side. Ooh. And then that would be from an architectural point of view. Mm-hmm. When you get down to more of the mid to senior level software engineers, the primary tech stack is, out of the JavaScript library, React on the front end, obviously. We do have a few teams, I think 2 right now, there could be one more, that are working still with some Angular. They haven't converted completely to React, but it is headed that way. But yeah, that's nuts and bolts of our tech stack. But there's a little bit of everything, basically. I mean, we've even got some .NET. There is no Vue. I know that.
I figured you were .NET based.
Primarily out of the JavaScript library for most of our developers, and that's what a lot of our features run off of.
So are mostly your guys U.S.? Are you all over the place? Are you in one location mostly, or is everybody spread out everywhere? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we do have a couple of one-off type situations or employees that are not here local to Lehigh, Utah. But we actually work in a hybrid model where we expect people to be in office, 2-3 days a week. So yeah, we're here in Utah and we're killing it.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. So yeah, I mean help me understand a little bit more. Like what do you look for in a software engineer? What catches your eye? I mean, I know we kind of started the conversation, with that in mind, and you said you had a lot of thoughts on that. But help me understand and walk me through what would you consider like a good software engineer or somebody who you would want to hire?
Yeah, well, I think that's. And I don't mean this as an insult, by the way. I think it's kind of a loaded question, right? Because it would depend on the person that you're asking that question to. And you're a tech recruiter too, so you know this as well as I do. We can go out and we can find people on LinkedIn or wherever you're sourcing, right? That know C#, know React, they're full stack developers, whatever, right? They're an architect. We can go out and we can find people with the skill set. What we look for more than anything after we've found that skill set are people that exhibit our values and share the same points of view that we do, when it comes to work, right? Like we believe in working hard and playing hard. So work-life balance is huge for us, but being self-driven and a proactive learner, those are actually bigger things, for us, right? Like, the work-life balance is there. I've never worked for a company where they will literally force you to take 3 days off a quarter just to recharge. if you're not taking any of your PTO. And we do have unlimited PTO on top of that, just like every other tech company.
Right.
But it's cool to see them actually put their money where their mouth is, right? And like, no, you need to take these days off. Like, I'm part of the team that audits it, so I know it happens. But from there, it's people that are driven, and that don't want to stay stagnant. And like I told you before, if I can't find someone a job, it's in my job description to help them find a job if they'll let me. And that applies to our employees as well. We want them to come in and grow. And if somebody, say they've grown to a senior software engineer that's grown up to architect level, but I don't have an architect position to give him, and we're out of projects for them to architect, or they want to go to principal level, if they're comfortable enough to trust us, and a lot of them are, and come to us and say, hey, this is what I want to do next, it is in my job description to help them find a job somewhere else. And it doesn't cost them a dime.
That's awesome.
And there's other companies that we partner with that, I can send people to, and we're doing some really innovative things when it comes to hiring and candidate sharing. And there's some cool stuff going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound that way. I mean, I know you kind of touched upon this a little bit more, but help me understand a little bit more of the culture. I mean, I know all tech companies are trying to tout the latest and greatest, but it sounds like you guys are really onto something.
Crazy fun. Got a do you have a yoga room? That's what I want to know.
Right.
Do you
exactly.
do you have a meditation room with the music going and some incense?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those are cool, but I never met anybody that bought a boat because there was a yoga room. So we actually like to focus on the human element, quite honestly. I mean, sure, we've got the fun things that we do too, but we really stay focused on that human connection portion of everything. And it really comes from the top down. Our CEO, Ben Hodson, is an amazing human and super intelligent, and just seems to be like the guy that's good at everything, right? But his vision is that everybody knows their place in the company and how they're contributing, and they're recognized for that. And that happens. I've never worked somewhere before where the CEO will walk by your desk and be like, oh, hey, Nick, how you doing? How's it going? Doesn't need anything from me. Doesn't want me to give him a report. Nothing.
Just wants to check in, see how you're doing.
Human, yep. Right? And I've been lucky. I tell a lot of candidates this. I've been really lucky in my career, both pre and current, it being a recruiter. And I've worked for some companies that are known locally and nationally for being great places to work. And it sounds like a sales pitch, but JobNimbus is on a different planet when it comes to culture. Like, everybody else is playing checkers and we're playing chess. And I think a good example of that is, like I told you about before, where if somebody's interested in working with us, cool, come in, have a tour of the office. I'll introduce you to everybody. Come have lunch. It's on us. Then you can actually see, and it's tangible. It's not just a sales pitch at that point in time. But our culture is just, it really, I feel very lucky to be where I am.
Yeah, I mean,
we like to hire adults and let them be adults, and then treat them not like numbers,
And honestly, that's the way it should be. And from a tech recruiter standpoint, that's exactly what I look for when I'm trying to help my clients. I don't want just somebody just to take a position because they're getting a pay increase. I want it to be to better their career and better their situation all the way around, not just from a monetary value. So take it. I've met Jared as well. Jared's a fantastic human being. I think you guys are doing great things over there too in that regard. So kudos to you guys for that.
I gotta ask.
Thank you.
I gotta ask. For the future of IT, do you think that, and other companies, you've been around, do you think that this is going to be the norm? You guys have kind of stepped up to the plate to take care of people. In this world that we live in right now, where there's not enough developers to go around and stuff, do you think this is something that all companies are going to have to kind of step up to the plate and treat people decently?
I would hope so. That would be my answer. Innovation goes in several different directions, right? You see Indeed replacing recruiters with AI and self-recorded videos. But I don't think that that's going to be successful for people.
I 100% agree. I think you can't take that human element out, and that's where
not yet. Not yet.
You're not going to be able to.
I had to say it.
Personally speaking,
right? I think if any of the three of us knew exactly what the future was going to look like, we'd be billionaires sitting on boats having this conversation.
Right.
And I wouldn't be talking to you from Eagle Mountain.
Exactly.
True. He makes a good point.
But I don't know. It's a really interesting question because there's some innovative things that we're doing when it comes to attracting talent and retaining talent. Even over the last 12 months, the great resignation, quote unquote, we maintained 92.3 or 5 at 92 point something % of our employees.
Wow.
Where the national average, I believe, was 79 or 82. I know it was.
I think it's 79 if I remember correctly.
So that's incredible, right? Like even during the great resignation where I work and I have software engineers in the building, we could go outside and throw a rock and hit a company that would offer them $15,000 more a year on their base pay, right? Like we're right in the heart of the Silicon Slopes. It's undeniable. But that human element, I mean, I want to believe that won't go away in the future and that it's going to continue to be important. But we also have a newer generation that's going to enter the workforce that is tech-centric, right? Like they're using their phones and their tablets for their schooling. Mm-hmm. And, who knows how that changes things. But I think that if you get rid of that human element, we all need it to a certain degree, or we're just not human anymore. Then we're just zombies.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a difference, I mean, get in front of somebody and talk to them. Don't just type something into a screen or a keyboard.
Right.
So what's your thought about JobNimbus, the future of JobNimbus and tech and that? Where do you see that going? Are you guys going?
I think it's bright, honestly. We have just barely hit the tip of the iceberg for our market segment. And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, it literally, there are millions of people still that we can reach out to within our market. So the future of JobNimbus, I think, is bright, especially as we expand, for the first, I don't know how long because I've only been there for 4 months. So take it for what it's worth. But I know that for most of JobNimbus's existence, the bread and butter was roofers. And it was, they referred to as chuck in a truck, right? Like a small company with 1 to 3 people, and they need some efficiencies. So the future of JobNimbus is really where we're shifting right now is towards more of an enterprise level. And granted, enterprise level means something different in the construction sector, numbers-wise, than it does in the corporate world, right? So we're talking about companies that have 20 to 100 employees, we'll say. Whereas in the corporate world, that would be 1,000 plus, right? Mm-hmm. But what we're doing and where we're finding that JobNimbus is most sticky is when we can sign a logo, is what we call it when we acquire a customer. When we can sign a logo that has 3 to 5 users or more, those are the ones where you see on the graph that they uptick and use our product more, level out a little bit, learn a little bit more, and then skyrocket again or come back down. But it's always an upward trend in usage and how sticky the product is for that customer. So that's what we're targeting. That's what we're doing. We're on track for all of our goals and doing really well. So I don't see that. I think the future is bright here. I mean, we're going into a recession, but the company's been through a recession. And the fact of the matter is everyone still needs a roof over their heads.
Absolutely.
So even if things get really bad, we all still have insurance and we'll all still want our roofs fixed. Right. So I think that we're in a really unique position where, some companies may experience, some expansion and some shrinkage, right? Like there's going to be layoffs. We know it's going to happen, but I think that JobNimbus is in a really healthy spot as far as employee size, products we offer, people we target, our niche market, right? I think we're in a good place.
Would you say you're in a growth phase? Would you say you're in a growth phase right now?
Absolutely. So a year and a half ago, And again, I wasn't there, so these are loose numbers that I know are very close, but not spot on. I know we only had about 60 or 70 employees. Right now, we're right at 200.
Wow.
And so we're definitely in a growth mode, and we're going to continue to be in a growth mode. And obviously, the rate at which we grow is going to depend upon our sales department and our expansion teams and our teams that focus on upselling and offering different products and integrations. I mean, that was something you alluded to before, Bobby, was there's a lot of people that are companies that do integrate with our app. So a lot of that success is going to depend on them and our executive team to determine, who else can we integrate it with and what else can we offer and things like that. But I really do think we're in a good spot. And, as transparent as our executive team is, I believe them.
Sweet.
Oh man, if I was let's do this. I'm curious. If I'm the listener out there, I'm a listener out there, and I'm looking. How would I go about getting to know JobNimbus? I'm a developer, whatever.
Yeah.
What would you suggest I do, or whoever the listener is, to maybe what would your pointers be?
And then I'm going to piggyback on that and say, help us understand what the hiring process looks like and how soon they should be expecting a call if you're interested in it.
Yeah, this is the nitty gritty here, baby.
That's the part I'm good at. This is the easy part.
Exactly.
So how do they get in touch with us? If they don't already have my contact information, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Apply on our careers page. I mean, if you send me a message on LinkedIn, you're getting a response as soon as I'm off the phone or as soon as I see it. And I think you have to be that urgent in the tech world. I can't tell you how many times my boss has told me, Nick, stop it, because he sees emails come through after hours. Or we were doing a team building event where we just put, I forget what movie, but we put a Pixar movie up on the screen in our all hands room and brought our families in. And he's like, Nick, are you on LinkedIn Recruiter right now on your phone? I'm like, well, yes, I am actually. And that's because the software developer just got back to me. And if I don't get back to him right now, 5 other people will have by the time that I do.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
So you have to be urgent.
You really do.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to find us, jobnimbus.com, and you can click on careers. You can look up Nick Cook on LinkedIn and hit me up. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody and get the ball rolling and do it as quickly as their schedule will allow.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that you guys are, mostly looking for that on-site presence. Do you guys do like relocation packages or anything like that? If you find somebody that could be a good fit but wants to come, live, relocate to Utah?
Yeah. The answer is I haven't had to do that yet as a recruiter at JobNimbus. I've been able to find the talent locally.
There's a few techs
and I believe
here
our
in Utah.
Compensation is fair. What's that? I'm sorry.
There's a few techs here in Utah.
Just a few.
Few techie folks.
Just a couple, right?
Right.
But yeah, if I can get somebody in the door and they know it's not just another sales pitch from a recruiter, that it's a great place to be, then we have a really good shot at getting that person. So, yes, we will offer relocation packages is the short answer to your question. Okay. The long answer is we haven't had to, and I don't know if we will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just something out there. I mean, if I, from a software development perspective, if I'm interested in relocating, then yeah,
100%. Let's still chat.
Exactly. Cool.
Awesome. Wow, this is good. This has been good. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah. So I'm going to ask one last question. Yeah. I don't know if Bobby has any more, but
I only
have
about 40. So
right. I was thinking 45-ish.
40.
Where do you
here all day?
I know you're a recruiter, but I got to ask this question because this is the premise of our show. Where do you think the future of technology is going? Where do you think we're going to be in 5, 10, 25 years?
Not just JobNimbus, but all over the place.
Correct.
Just
Technology.
in general.
Yeah, your 2 cents. We like to get... maybe you're
just
a
get
prophet
a good feel.
here. Maybe you can
you
hook
never
us
know.
up.
When I think about that, 2 things immediately come to mind. They both already exist, and maybe even a third thing, actually. So I think you're going to see an exponential increase in things that can be automated. processes, procedures, what have you, right? Automations already exist and they're already everywhere. We know that, but they're not as efficient as they could be. And technology will catch up to that and it will adapt to it. The other thing is artificial intelligence. That's another thing that is already in existence, but arguably very much in its infancy, right? Especially when it comes to AI outside of the medical field. There's a lot of AI that goes on inside the medical field with imagery and robotics and surgeries and things like that. But when it comes to AI and the way it relates to the real world, I think that we're going to be blown away by what we see over the next 5 to 15 years, right? And then the third thing may even go along with the second thing a little bit, kind of piggyback off of it. And I think to some degree it's going to be VR. I don't know what that's going to look like. I have no idea how that would be implemented. There's people a lot smarter than me that are going to figure it out and make a fortune. But I would find it hard to believe that we don't see a larger VR presence in our future, even in the business worlds in the future.
I think you had me on the first two. I don't know. Maybe call me crazy, but I'm not 100% sold on the VR
That's
world yet.
Maybe a kind of a first. We've had a lot of people talk about those first two for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yep.
And that I think we're all in agreement that we're going to definitely see a lot of more AI, a lot of more automation, and that's just a given. I mean that's the world we live in, and it is fun to see what other people think out of those and VR, as headsets become smaller and not so crazy, and I mean the thought of having a whole bunch of monitors on my desk that aren't actually there is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could see.
Well, and even look at an idea that failed that might be resurrected or even has been by Ray-Ban, and that would be Google Glass, right?
I was just about to go there.
When is the time going to come that you can code on your sunglasses?
Yeah, it's
on your eyeglasses, right? That's got to be a thing that's coming.
It's definitely going to be different than the VR we have now, but I think you might have something there, man. I don't know. It's it's the beauty of the new IT and us, pontificating about this stuff. Who knows what's actually going to happen? But we can say down the road, 10 years, hey, we were talking about that with the new IT podcast back then. That's right. We knew what was happening.
Remember Nick from JobNimbus?
Yeah.
Dude, he called it. He nailed it.
He nailed it. Well, Nick, thank you so much, man, for being on the show. We got anything else to go over? You got any last words? How do people get a hold of you? I think we've already talked about it, but you get the last word, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, feel free. If anyone listening, reach out to me on LinkedIn. If I don't have a job for you, I can find a job for you. There's other companies that I partner with for that. There's a lot of options, but obviously, selfishly, we want you at JobNimbus. So hit me up on LinkedIn, go to our careers page, email me, nick.cook@jobnimbus.com. I'll answer any email. I'll answer any phone call, any in-mail. I'll always get back to somebody, whether I can find them a job or not. And even if it's just somebody, I've offered this service to anybody that has reached out for it. If you just want some advice as you're going through an interview process, I may never meet you in person, but I fill my bucket up by helping other people. So if I can give you some tips and some tricks as you're going through an interview process somewhere else, you want to know how to negotiate, you want to know what market value is, feel free to reach out.
And that's what I love. Yeah,
that kind of resource.
And I love that you say that, because I think here in Utah we definitely have that helping culture, and it's the same thing. I want to. I don't care if I place a candidate. I want to make sure that they're successful no matter whether or not they accept my offer or not. So I 100% agree with you on that one. And kudos to you.
Awesome. Well, Nick, thank you so much. This has been another episode of the New IT.